Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Huckabee, and welcome to Conversations with Nicole. My guest today is Jason Campbell, president of JCFilms Studios. Since 2014, JC Films has been producing faith and family films. The mission is to change the world for Christ by providing people of faith the opportunity to be involved in Christian films. I met Jason during the filming of Break the Cycle in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm delighted to have him as my guest today. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am delighted to have as my guest today Jason Campbell. He is the president of JC Film Studios. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad we were able to do this.
Yes, me too. I had the pleasure of meeting you not so long ago when you were filming Break the Cycle in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I became familiar then with JC Film Studios and what it's all about. So for my audience, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your story and how you came to starting JC Films and what it's all about.
So I started this 13 years ago with Erik Estrada of all people. So we made a film called Finding Faith. It was a film about internet safety. And we shot the film. It's one of those things on your bucket list where you're just like, hey, let's make a film and see what happens. And so I did. I made a film. I always figure myself as a creative person. So we shot a film, and then Erik had this brilliant idea of touring the film around the country. So that's what we did. And so here, him and I would get in the car literally and travel from church to community center to theaters, and we'd show this film, Finding Faith, which dealt with internet safety, teaching young people about the dangers of the internet. And what would happen is that these events, we had these huge crowds, and people would come, want to meet Erik and get autographs and speak to him. But I was always standing in the background because people walk up to me and say, well, who are you? And I said, well, I'm the filmmaker. And that conversation led into other conversations where people started telling me their stories, and we started taking their stories and turn them into films. And so we started JC Films that way.
So I'm
We've made
curious,
about
Jason,
80
your
films since
background
then.
has always been in
We
filmmaking.
have
How did
production
you?
clubs across the country, including in Charlotte. So basically, it's this idea that, Jesus told stories under trees and he changed the world. And that's kind of what we're doing. And people give us their stories, and we take people like Erik Estrada, Dean Cain, Kevin Sorbo, and put them into films and tell their stories that way.
Were you always in the filmmaking industry? Was this a new passion for you? What is your personal background?
So my background was public policy. So I love politics. Worked on the Hill for many years. That's how I kind of got introduced into filmmaking um, early on, back in the day. So I've always been interested in filmmaking. Never thought I would take this as a career. Didn't see that happening. But, this is what God chose me to do. So um, a lot of our films deal with public policy. A lot of our films deal with, it's like Cyril's film with Break the Cycle. What's going on in our prison system. So they do kind of touch a nerve of political, social issues that are happening in our culture. So I do enjoy those type things. And so all of our films have some type of message to challenge people of faith with something.
Absolutely. Well, of course, Cyril Prabhu's story with Break
Yeah.
the Cycle is one that's near and dear to my heart because I have a relationship with Cyril now, and I can see the impact that his life and his mission is making on the lives of so many others. And it really is all about changing lives through knowing
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And that is your goal there.
Yep, that's it. And so it's just not us here. I live in West Virginia. We make a lot of films here, but we're fortunate to have we have about 24 production clubs across the world. I'm in London and in Africa and Australia. So part of what we like to do is not only make the films and change the culture through films, but also encourage and get more filmmakers involved in Christian filmmaking. So we offer camps and workshops and all sorts of neat things in order to get people of faith involved in Christian filmmaking. Nicole, a lot of people say, I would love to be in film. I would love to tell my story. I would love to learn this, but I don't know how to do it. So we're kind of that organization that people can go to. It's a safe organization. It's faith, it's family. So moms and dads don't have to worry about their kid being involved in anything, but they can get plugged into us or one of our clubs around the country and say, hey, let's take Christian entertainment to the next level.
And do you feel like you're doing that? It certainly seems like you're doing that. Talk about the support that you get from the communities where the production clubs also,
Yeah.
but I mean, nationwide and worldwide.
Yeah. So, I always tell people, if you think about Christian music, Christian music 20 years ago, really when they get, but it's grown that way. And if you think about where we are with Christian films and Christian content, that's kind of where we are. It's getting better and better, right? 10 years ago, Christian films were just, a DVD you bought at Walmart. Now they're, genre platforms on major, digital platforms out there. So it's encouraging to see that. What we've got to do is we've got to get more people of faith engaged in the process, and let people know that it's not one of these things that they can't achieve or get to, that the average person can get involved in. To answer your question, that's why community is so important in what we do. For example, with Break the Cycle, the way we came into Charlotte and used a lot of churches and community and people to be involved in the process. It's exciting, number one, right? To be in a scene with Dean Cain and to see a film being made as it's being made. But it's also something that's rewarding because you can say, I was a part of that. I was part of telling that story. And, that's all filmmaking is. And whether it be the lead actor or somebody that's getting coffee or being background extra at a church scene, we're all part of that process. And that's kind of exciting for people to be involved and know that they can be involved.
I certainly felt that way when I was involved with the movie with Break the Cycle. It is a sense of community. It's a sense of belonging and supporting such a worthy cause
Yeah.
and the mission of sharing someone's story that is so impactful. And your films studio is just doing that off the chart. So it's really a win-win for especially people that want to be in the entertainment business, and in general, generalizing, the entertainment industry is tough. And so
Yeah.
this is a safe way and a good positive way to get involved. So I'm sure you're getting that feedback when you are filming your movies all across the country.
Well, we love it. I mean, I probably get 2 or 3 calls a day from moms and dads and grandparents to say, "Hey, I have a daughter that has the acting bug." And when kids have the acting bug, it's a dangerous thing. It's a real virus, I believe. But creative. They want to be on stage. They want to perform. They want to take on different characters, and um, that's a passion. It's true, and it's there. And if these young people don't have an outlet for it that's safe, then, when they turn 18, they're going to head off to Los Angeles. They're going to find a way to use their creativity. If we can focus that creativity to in a safe environment where kids aren't having to go through a bunch of nonsense and auditions and this woke culture that's kind of changing their views on this stuff, we can change Christian films. We can take them to the next level. It's all about combating the culture. I tell people all the time, it's if Hollywood is going to make what they're going to make, we have to make what we have to make, and we have to balance out the culture. And so that's why we need more participation and more people involved in creating good, wholesome content for families.
And I love the fact that you don't have to be an actor or actress to get involved. You
That's right.
can you can actually participate in providing this good content by supporting you financially. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, we have, of course, a lot of people come involved and say, "Hey, we just want to help you support your film. We love this particular topic that you're covering in a film." If people go to jcfilms.org and click on upcoming films, I think we've got about 20 or 30 that are projects that are out there right now. We just started a new program that allows people to donate to a film and then actually come on set and get an on-set experience and meet Dean and Kevin or some of these other celebrities that we have in some of the pictures that we're making. So, the financial part is huge. It does help us. Christian films are still Christian films. We're going to stay Christian. A lot of times, a lot of faith-based film industry start Christian, and then they see the money on the other side if they're a little bit more secular. And there's truth to that in the fact that you'll get more distribution. But I think we're going to remain where we are for a very long time.
I think that's important to hold true to what you value, and your value is sharing the
Yeah.
message of Jesus Christ with your community and making a difference there.
Lots of opportunity if people go to the website to get involved.
Absolutely. And I just like the fact that you have a range of movie genres. How do you come about with deciding what you want to make a movie about?
It's been
Not,
a
it's not always just someone's story, is it?
Well, probably 60% of what we make is people write a book. Christians love to write books, and that's good. I mean, that's our testimony. It tells people who we are, where we came from, and what God did. So we take those books, and of course, we turn a lot of the books into films. We went on this last year. We started working on some counterculture films, anti-woke films. We did a film on the Twitter files, what really happened with that. We did a film on cancel culture, what is really cancel culture, and how's that affecting our communities, our schools. We just getting ready to release a film called And God Made Man, which is the story of the swimmer that was defeated in a college scout thing by transgender. Controversial film, but it's a good film. It's ranking really high right now on Angel Studios, so we're excited about getting that film out there and being released. And that's a whole different thing. And that's, we never really have gone down that road before, making films to kind of balance out the culture, to kind of say, hey, should this really be happening? Why are we discussing this? And we're not mocking or making fun of it, but at the same time, putting it into a film that people can watch and be like, oh, I kind of get what's going on in this country. We're doing a film on the immigration issue. It's called Migrants, that we're filming in Orlando. Where does the church stand on this? I mean, really, with the immigration issue we have. So some of these are just thought-provoking films that kind of get people thinking. But it is interesting as we've gone down this road at how people respond to it. We've got some issues in our country, and I'm seeing it firsthand now that we're releasing these films, and people are saying, how could you make a film like this? And I'm like, I'm shocked by some of the responses I get from fellow Americans. Like, what America am I living in? I'm not sure sometimes.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you make a film? This is what our country is facing about a difficult subject, right?
I've got a lot of backlash on this migrant film. It's not a political film. It's basically the true idea, the fact that here we have all these hundreds of thousands of immigrants in our country. What is the church's response? I've Googled this thing. Just Google it. It'd be like, what are churches in America doing about this immigration issue? And the search results are zero, nothing. And I'm not saying, I don't know where you stand politically on it. I know where I stand politically on it, but as a body of Christ, they're supposed to care for one another. And I'm not talking about giving them asylum or giving them citizenship. None of that's covered. It's basically answering the question, what's the church's position here? Because we're dead silent on it. The church has been dead silent on immigration. You've not seen one mega pastor come out and say, hey, we need to show them the love of Jesus. Not once. And I'm not blasting the church for it. I'm not, and the film's not about that. But I think it can start opening up the door for some discussions on. It's kind of what Cyril did with his film. Who cares about the people in prison? They made a mistake. We lock them up, throw away the key. Yet he's been able to use this film and his ministry to really get people to think about what's happening in our prison system, our country, and how that can be changed. So films change the culture. When Jaws came out many, many years ago, beach attendance was low all across the world because of that movie. So we know films change culture, and we just have to keep coming up with new ideas and new films to help people rethink issues.
Well, I have great admiration for what you're doing to be brave enough to tackle the subjects that are hard and to talk about, as people in the church, as Christians, what role are we supposed to play? And I think that our God says we are supposed to love and care for all people. So how do we do that? And
Right.
one way we do that is by seeing how other people are doing that and learn from them. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited about it. So encourage your listeners to go to jcfilms.org if they happen to have an idea for a film or something that says, hey, I think this book would be a great idea, or hey, this happened in my life. Pitch it to us and see what we can do with it.
I love that. That was going to be my next question. How can people submit ideas and how can people learn more about you? But it's jcfilms.org. You'll have all the information there, right?
Yeah, and you may have listeners all around the country, and there might be some that say, "Hey, I'm interested in joining a production club." There's a map there; it shows you where they all are, and you can click on them and connect with people in your community that are doing this. So,
yes, I love that. Well, I'm actually a member, so I participate in JC Films and helping with the cause there. And I do hope I get an opportunity to see you again in person if you're ever back in my neck of the woods. Jason, thank you so much for taking the time today to be my guest. Great. And we'll do it for this edition of Conversations with Nicole. Until I see you again, I hope you have a great day.